Hey guys, Glock42. Soviet's JS7. You can hear my kid and his buddy in the background playing friggin' video games. So I'm actually gonna try to do a build video. Last couple build videos I did, they sucked, so I didn't post them. So let's see how this goes. I've posted a review of it, and I hope that it looks as good. It builds up as good as it looks. So let's get at it. We're going to start. We'll start suspension, and we'll catch up with you here, guys, once I've got the hull put together. We'll go from there. Okay, we get 12 of these road wheels to make, 6 per side. And typical Dragon, they fit together nice. There's a tiny little bit of seam to get rid of the metal, but I think these are going to build up nice. We've got step 1 is all finished. The road wheels, the idler wheels, and the drive sprockets are all put together. Nice detail, nice and sharp, great fit. A lot of times if you guys build some things like the Hobby Boss and the Take Home and whatnot, you'll have real problems getting these together. These are super sturdy, nice and tight. They go together well, and as you can see, this is if you build some of these guys in link tracks, even half a mil out in your foobar, but if you keep them up and you check them on a piece of track and they'll roll through nicely, you're golden. So step 1 is all done here. Okay, so one thing, when you've been building for a while, you realize that sometimes you have to jump ahead. So I'm jumping way ahead, and I'm going to get this 2-piece barrel glued together so that it'll be cured up for tomorrow, and then I can get some putty on it and get the barrel ready. Alright, now in step 3, we're going to join the lower and upper hulls. I've done that here, and it fits pretty good. You may have to adjust this bottom piece a bit to fit in the hinges, and just keep an eye on this front bottom plate. It likes to kick back a bit. We'll have to clean that up a bit. So we're going to let this dry, and next thing we have to add some texture to the surface. So we're going to leave the bottom hull for now, and we're going to jump ahead to step number 11, from 5 to 11, where we're going to put the turret together. So we'll get the 4 pieces of the turret together, we'll get that glued in, and then we'll start adding some texture to that as well. Okay, right here in step 11, there's a little clear piece, GP1. So that goes in right up in there. Right there. So what I did, I glued it in and then put some Tamiya clear blue over it. Let that dry, and then threw some silver paint on it just to give it a little bit of a backing, and you give a nice clear blue piece there. So that's ready to go. Before we paint it, we'll mask it off in there, and it'll be good. Okay guys, one thing you need to keep in mind of these Soviet era cast turrets, they were really rough. They were really raunchy turrets. So what you need to do is add a little texture to them. Now at this point I'm using Mr. Surfacer 500. This is a really old bottle, and in fact it's gotten right gummied up on me. So I've thinned it down with a little bit of lacquer thinner. I think in the UK it's called cellulose thinner. And you just start working it into the turret like that, just to give it some cast texture. Now keep in mind that the whole thing, the entire turret was cast, but some of it was machined off. Like around these flat portions, they were machined smooth, so you don't want to get any anything on there. And same as on the antenna armor there, and on these pieces that are obviously been welded on. So what you want to do is just kind of go along, and if it gets too really rough like that there, just take your finger and just kind of smooth it off a bit, and it gives you a really effective, realistic cast look. Just like that. Now you're going to want to do the whole turret like that. Okay, now we're going to add a little bit of texture. We've got the turret all textured up. You can't really overdo it on these. Once this dries up, I'll take my Dremel tool and add some scoring around the corner parts where they would have taken their die grinders and ground off the rougher parts around the edges. Now, even on the hull, you want to add some texture. Now, I'm just going to use this Tamiya liquid surfacer for the hull because you don't need a real super heavy duty cast look. You just want to add a small amount of texture just to give it a little bit more life. This is far too smooth for rolled steel. There's always going to be a wee bit of texture on this stuff. You don't have to go crazy on it like you do with the turrets for the heavy cast look, but you do want to add just a little bit of texture. Just gives your piece of armor a little bit more life, as opposed to just the really clean looking smooth rolled finish. Now, pieces that are obviously sheet metal, like the fenders and whatnot, you don't want to do that. Just the rolled armor. One thing very important that I forgot, it's St. Patrick's Day, so today's adult carbonated beverage of choice is Kilkenny Irish Cream. First time I've had it, won't be the last, although I rarely drink anymore. One beer or two a month is about it, but this is superb. Okay, now we're going to take our Dremel with the round ball, and we're just going to go around these areas where in real life that they would have gone around with their die grinder and cleaned it up just to give a little bit more texture. Especially if you get a chance to ever see, say, a Sherman or something with a cast turret. You'll see a lot of this kind of die grinder work around the corners and around the edges where there may have been a bit of slag, and it'll come back over and clean it up. Does anybody want a cat? This female of mine is driving me crazy, and I gotta get her in and get fixed, but my god, they want almost $300 to fix a female cat in this bloody city. I'll have to take it out where my mom lives. They only want 90, so areas like this that are, you know, would see a little bit of the die grinding, just give it a little bit of texture. You don't have to get really carried away. And you know what? There is no right and there is no wrong, because you look at any dozen different tanks, depending on who's working on it during any given day, it's probably going to look different than the other. Now keep in mind that I'm not modeling a prototype. I'm modeling a what if this was put in production, honest to God, you know, sort of the old paper Panzer 46 kind of deals, what this is going to be. I'm not building a prototype, so think of it as wartime production. That's what I'm going for. So you just want to go ahead and do that around all the corners, rounded surfaces. I spoke earlier of adding texture with the with your Dremel, so I put in a larger burr there, and it's just a matter of just going around like this, just adding very light hand, very light hand. You just want to hit where there may have been a little bit of slag and clean it off a bit. The other ball I have is a little smaller, but it was a little duller. Now this is the mantle it's cast, so we're going to roughen it. There's a couple ways you can do it. You can just bounce the cutter ball up and down like that. And as you can see, that gives it a real nice cast appearance. Now if you don't have that, you don't have a Dremel tool, you can take some of this Tamiya cement, the thick stuff, and just start splashing it in. Now it takes a while because the cement has to start to get tacky. And just use the very tip of your brush. Just start working it in. And as the glue starts to soften the plastic, you're going to get a real heavy cast look to this. Now you want to use a slower acting glue, like a fast glue like an MEC or an Ambroid Pro Weld won't work as well as the slower type glues, because those other ones flash off so quickly. They don't really have a chance to, don't have a chance to work it. But with this, you just keep working it in, and before you know it, you have a really nice, very realistic cast texture. Alright, we've got all the running gear. Very standard Soviet KV type running gear. KV and Joseph Stalin running gear. Short little torsion bar suspension. Just follow your directions. Pay close attention to your directions. Follow the parts numbers. There is a little bit of a change up in some of these trailing arms. Just follow your instructions. They're really quite clear. They're not vague at all. Just pay attention to what's going on, and you'll have no problems getting through step 4.